guys, and welcome to bonus content for Let's Play Xenosaga Episode 1. Well, since defeating the final boss, I've done just a teeny bit of grinding. Not that you need to grind up this point, though it does have an effect. Your final level in the file that you save your post-game data on will actually affect something in Episode 2. And I will get into that when we actually get into Episode 2, because that really has no bearing on this game. Just gonna kind of mention it, that it has a purpose. So if you want to do some grinding, save yourself a little bit of time in Episode 2, you can do that. It's probably easier to grind here than it would be, at least for the first half of Episode 2, but that's kind of besides the point. This episode is going to be probably the one that nobody wants to watch, just gonna point that out there. I haven't done all the extra stuff that I have to do to get the other stuff I wanted to do ready yet. So first one's going to be best ways of grinding and best ways of point farming, and then we're going to go into the database. Yes, nobody wants to go into the database. That's fine. You don't need to watch it if you don't want to. The other thing we want to show off, though, is at level 50, KOS learns the final tech in the game. If I could find the tech one, that would be helpful. And that is called Divine Spear. Now, Divine Spear can only be used if an ally is KO'd. I've gotten mine up to level 5, and I haven't even had a chance to use it yet, so I am going to basically put myself in a situation where I can use it. Now, before I do that, I do want to kind of preface things, because this is the area where you want to do your level grinding. Now, I haven't gone in to double check to make sure this is the absolute best point in the game to do level grinding, but it's a very effective place to do it. And the item that I banned during the LP, the Brave Soul, I'm using that because it's very helpful. And I will show you why. Now, so there's basically, I've set up 2 separate parties so that I can level up my characters, you know, one team and then the other team, so I can keep the levels close enough to the same. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I have 2 rather effective strategies for leveling up both parties, so I don't have to dick around too much. Anyway, you want Brave Soul on Junior, and Battle Mask would be helpful. The stuff that you have doesn't matter. The stuff that you have, other than Scope, doesn't matter, because nothing really does. Junior is going to be the heavy lifting. And basically, yeah, you want Angelic Requiem. I think that's the one I've been using. I've been leveling that one up first. And yeah, pretty much just have him with Brave Soul and low HP, and you can annihilate enemies. The other party is reliant on one very effective strategy, and that strategy is, of course, Erde Kaiser, along with Angel Ring and 9,999 damage to all enemies. Remember to press start to skip the animation. And yeah. So the enemies around here, there's 4 battles, and in these 4 battles you fight multiple enemies in each one. It's usually 3, and you can gain a lot of experience very quickly. So first things first, I am going to, let's see here, I'm going to use Hemlock to reduce Junior's HP so that I can show off his damage. I will get around to showing off KOS's attack in a moment. Let's take a look at their HP, 4,600. Let's show off Angelic Requiem. Now, during the main part of the game, it did nowhere near that amount of damage, but you get pretty close to one-shot all the enemies in a battle. Aw, poor Junior, you took some damage. You also won the battle in 1 turn, which is why this is so an effective a way of grinding. And as you can see, I'm getting a lot of experience. Now, the reason for such massive experience, normally I think they give 4,000 or 5,000 experience. However, my skills are kind of important. As I've been grinding up, I've gotten to skill level 5. I've extracted experience plus 25%, given it to everyone. They also have added boost at the start of battle and additional speed, and that's pretty much what everyone has, except for Ziggy. He needed tech points for something. I can't remember what. It's been a while since I've actually worked on this grinding. Since I finished the final boss for this game, I've been working on Ori and the Blind Forest, so just so you kind of know where I was focusing my time. Of course, that's got a whole other problem. I gotta make an update video on that. By the time you see this, I've probably already uploaded that. I just haven't recorded it yet. Okay, next battle. We won't be able to end the battle with it, but it'd be nice to actually see it. I actually haven't seen this spell yet. That's it? Well, that's not very impressive at all. Why can we only get this at level 50? Anyway, yeah, I just made a very strange cut there. Anyway, so kind of the point is, the reason why it's such a great place to level grind over there is because you fight enemies that are relatively strong, and if you use appropriate strategies such as the Brave Soul with Junior and a Kaiser with Shion, you can one-shot pretty much every battle. And you gain lots of experience. They give 4,000 to 5,000, I think, by default, and with Experience Plus, you gain even more. Of course, this is the area that I find is the most effective, at least as far as your not your ether points, your skill points go, to very, very easily get a lot of points. Obviously, I should have been using Chaos for this, but I'm just figure I might as well show off that, you know, we've already fought these guys before, we've shown them before. It's a very easy fight, enemies aren't going to do a lot of damage to you, and they give a lot of points. And as you can see, I hung around in battle, and it took 50 seconds for me to take that down. Your default amount of points is 22 tech points and 20 skill points. Ether points at this point don't matter, almost nobody needs them. But times 2, we go up to 40. Times 4, we go up to 80, and times 10 obviously is over 200. And you gain a lot of points really fast. You fight 5 of these guys in this area here, and you just run all the way through here, fighting all 4 of those, and then hit this point, zone in through here, get them to respawn, and come out here. And do them all over again, go back, go through the UMN portal over there, leave, come back, loop through. You can go really, really quickly and get a lot of stuff done if you do that. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over for points and for grinding. This is an older file, I just happen to have this one closer. Yeah, we should be able to go into UMN. I believe I have all my, should have everything here too. Now, as far as the database goes, we have every single one of them. 245 entries in the database. I don't know why they would expect anyone to want to read all 245 of them. I've done it more than once, but we aren't going to do that. I think I counted it out. I think I wrote it down at some point. I think it was like 96 or something like that. Or no, 79. About 79, 80 of these we've actually read. And I believe that includes the ones I'm going to read now. So we're just going to go through most of these really quick. They're just kind of relating to things that have already happened in the plot, and let's just do that real quick here. So, first things first, one that we haven't been able to do yet, Albedo. Yes, he actually has a last name, which is kind of odd. Anyway, in Psychology and Alchemy from C.G. Jung, or Jung, it refers to albedo or whitening as one stage in the process of human individualization as symbolized in alchemic terms. In the game, obviously, he's URTV unit number 667 and names albedo for the whiteness of his hair. Now, the idea of whiteness and redness, which is rubido, and negredo, which is blackness, are all terms that have been used both by Carl Jung here in his ideas, as well as other ideas in like medicine and other types of psychology and stuff like that. These are rather well known. I believe they're Latin words, if I'm not mistaken. Albedo also has another kind of meaning for me. Like, I played this game long before I went to university, but in university I studied the reflectiveness of the planet in one of my courses, and part of one of them, and that's also called, it's albedo, the reflectivity of the planet, so the brightness, the amount of light it'll reflect in certain areas. So that I just found pretty cool and made me really apt at remembering that kind of thing. Now, Archetype should be around here somewhere. There we go. According to Jungian psychology, again, there's a lot of reference to his psychology in here, as well as Freud in addition to that. Image from a collective unconsciousness, inherited memory representative in the mind by a universal symbol and observed in dreams and myths. Obviously, in the game, it's not really the same thing, though if you look back at this point, by the time we beat the third game, you might notice something. That's all I'll say for now. The Damarung should be around here somewhere. There it is. Free orbiting colony. This is the Vector headquarters that came and saved everyone during the Gnosis attack on the Kukai Foundation. Just so you kind of know what it is. Vector's headquarters. It is a huge colony. It is basically an artificial planet. All core branches of Vector and its subsidiary corporations are located there, including the 1st R&D Division and Shion's living quarters. I don't know why that's important, but it's there. Alright, go down a little bit more. Guinan Kukai 2. URTB Unit 669. Yes, we've kind of talked about this. Now, there are additional reasons for this, but for now, I do want to mention that the voice actor, Crispin Freeman, who did Albedo, also did Guinan. It's the same guy. He's got a decent amount of range, and he plays 2 completely different personality characters in this game, and he does them both really well. This has additional meaning later on as to why it was pretty cool that they could get the same guy to do both voices, but we'll get into that later on. Anyway, yeah, so all 669 URT units originated in the same embryonic culture, but they were subjected to an induced mutation to develop their unique gifts. This accounts for the difference in hair and eye color, despite their shared embryonic origins. Junior's ability is to control growth, or rather time, which is why he is so short. He actually has control over that, and I believe they explain why later on in the series, why he decides not to grow. And Albedo, of course, we've seen can regenerate his body like a crazy person. We're actually going to get further into that in the bonus episodes before too long. Guinan can telepathically communicate with Junior, so that's not Junior's ability, but uses his voice to hypnotically manipulate people, which we haven't really seen at this point. Kukai was a fictional persona created by the Second Miltian government, specifically, what's his name? The guy that helped them out. I got another event on them. Helmer. There it is. He's in there. Anyway, following the Miltian conflict, Helmer's rescue of Guinan Jr., they took on the Kukai surname to justify and establish the Kukai Foundation, which is pretty cool. They give you some background story on the fact that Helmer's been involved with them kind of from the start. They finally admit flat out that this Kukai was never really a person. It was just used as a means to establish the whole foundation and put people who otherwise would have had no background, no papers to prove where they're from, because obviously they're not from pretty much anywhere. They were all created rather than being born. So it just kind of allowed them to do that, which is pretty cool. Now, this one I missed earlier. Grave. No, that's the wrong button. There we go. So, an image from Alan's recollection. This, I believe, occurs after we get out of the Encephalon. We see an image or a short cutscene of Shion crying over a grave and Alan standing over her. And I couldn't remember at the time whether that was current or in the past. Well, this entry actually explains it. The vision is of Shion as she mourns at Kevin's grave 2 years ago. The grave itself is located at the central cemetery inside the Damarung. Remember, it is a planet, basically. And it's got some Latin on there that I can't read, and they have a whole line here which is not all that super important from what I remember. No, I think that's pretty much it. Next up, we have Illusion and Reality. Since human processes all include information within the mind, there's no clear distinction between reality and hallucination. Surely you've experienced this, a moment of pure bliss in which everything around you suddenly looked brighter due to one reason or another. That is the perspective of the observer. Everything that is perceived as real is in fact only real within the observer's mind. Furthermore, there is absolutely no proof to deny the possibility that the world as we know it exists entirely in a figment of our imagination. Or is the Matrix, basically. So yeah, Shion was trying to make this point earlier, I believe during the conversation. I think this one was in relation to something Albedo said about Realians not being actual people, and as we've known from early on in the game, she feels very strongly about this and wants to make sure that other people kind of can understand the realness and value that Realians have in comparison with humans, and that there really should be no difference. Again, I know I've mentioned this before, but it's kind of odd how much this game, even though it was made so long ago, 2000 and whatever it was, early 2000s, it still echoes a lot of the social problems that we have even today. Anyway, Junior number 2, this is just the second entry on Junior, means basically Rubido, who is Junior's other name, one of the surviving URTV units. He is a human specifically created as an antithesis to Udu, the living consciousness which jeopardized the Galaxy Federation in the past. His relationship to Albedo and Guinan Senior shall be revealed in further detail in subsequent episodes. Next, we have Negredo. Let's jump down a little bit here. There it is. Again, in psychology, I kind of mentioned this. It refers to blackening, hence his hair color. The nickname for the jet. I don't know why they're repeating themselves, but anyway, the assumed name Guinan was taken from a kitten he owned with Rubido. Guinan, incidentally, is also the name of King Marshall's horse in the 11th century French epic Song of Roland. Now, I don't know anything about that epic or that play or poem or whatever it is, but I do know there's a song called Song of Roland. It's in something that I have. I can't remember who sings it, actually. I just remember I've seen that before. Anyway, now I'm just going to go over these quickly. If you remember, Albedo refers to Momo, who I will remind you, in Japanese, Momo means peach, calling her Pesh, which in French means peach, and at one point he said he would be Péché himself for something he was doing evil to her, which of course here is French for sinner. I did mention that during the cutscene, but I figured I'd go over it one more time just in case. Proto-Merkaba should be around here somewhere. If I can not go over it. An immense industrial plant built under the supervision of Joachim Mizrahi. Although its purpose is unknown, it has the power to absorb gnosis and convert them into a power source. I just kind of wanted to reaffirm this, even though they've kind of mentioned it in the story, but not completely. There's your proof. That's exactly what it does. And next off, we have the Rhine Mate. Should be right there. Vector's latest development in weapons technology, named after Wagner's Ring of the Nibelung, which I probably pronounced improperly, in which Rhine Maidens are 3 naiads, I guess, who guard the magic Rhine gold living at the bottom of the river. I like the fact that they reference back to like plays or operas or mythology in pretty much any JRPG, but they do a lot of it in the Xeno series. So anyway, the 3 ships that came along with the Damrung when they came to save us were called Woglinde, number 2 actually, as we'll learn later, Welgunde, or Gunde, or whatever, and Folos Hilde, or however you pronounce that, and I can't pronounce anything properly, after the original Rhine Maidens from said play or opera or whatever it is. Anyway, these are massive battleships, and they are specifically equipped with the anti-Gnosis weapon, which is the Rhine Mate. They don't really explain what it is, just that it's a weapon to fight Gnosis. So, unfortunately, we don't get a lot of that. Next up is Rubido, which I've already kind of mentioned is Latin for reddening. Again, refers to not Albedo, Junior, and it's his nickname due to his hair color. Junior got his name Junior because he's physically smaller than Guinan, hence Guinan Jr., which was kind of obvious the first time we saw him, but oh well. Anyway, Song of Nephilim. System? I guess it is system. Okay. Anyway, he created a bunch of different machines apparently. It emits a song-like frequency that only certain individuals can hear, but the actual purpose of this device is yet unknown. It does, however, curiously reappear throughout the story, be it in the meaning behind the words madness uttered by Junior and Margulis, or the appearance of a girl with the same name. Yes, Nephilim, the little girl we've seen throughout the game, and whose voice we probably heard during the ending, if you recall. I pointed it out. The fact that Shion saw this device on Milch as a little girl only furthers the mystery, which won't be properly explored until Episode 3. Episode 2 is rather unique, and we'll be getting into that shortly here. And finally, the last one, URTV. Short for Udu Retrovirus, a biological weapon whose life energy wavelengths cancel that of Udu. 6, 6, and 9 units were created by the late Dr. Dmitry Yuriev, head of the Yuriev Institute. He is the genetic father of the URTV, though they don't really talk about that much at all, and that could be considered a spoiler, but we will find out about that in Episode 2. In fact, Episode 2 focuses more so on Junior and Momo than it does on Shion and Albedo. To an extent. We'll see more about it when we get there. Anyway, that is all the database stuff we need to go through in this game. There is no database in Episode 2, so don't worry about having to do that. There are some in Episode 3. I will be going over less of them, and I will try and make it kind of more seamless so they just kind of get thrown in at random points when it makes sense, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to show off. We showed off KOS's tech, we showed off how to grind, and we showed off the database. So I do have a couple other ideas for bonus episodes, and we will hopefully get enough free time to work on them the way I want to. But yeah, that's all for this one, and I'll see you guys next time.